Yeah, let me just get you centered here.
Right there. As long as I don't move.
Yeah. All right. Whenever you're ready, coach.
All right, how y'all doing today? Everybody hear
Good.
me
How
okay?
are you?
All good, all good. Thank you, gentlemen, for being here. I guess it's been technically a year since we've done this Zoom meeting. So thank you guys for being here through Zoom and all that good stuff. We just literally just got out the football field. I just walked right from the field up to the complex and came in here. So thank you all for being here and all that good stuff. We just finished practice number 3 this morning, getting ready for Purdue, and it was good to get back on the practice field on Monday. We had some adversity that came up last game against a really tough, good opponent in Michigan State. They presented some challenges, just like every good Big Ten opponent. Coach says it all the time. We're not going out there. We're not knocking down bowling pins. So that's part of the game, and competing in the Big Ten, as I've learned going on my 7th season. Every game presents new challenges, and in the same breath, it presents opportunities to overcome those challenges. So, we obviously had some challenges at the receiver position, and the good thing is, we learn from them. Sunday was a hard meeting, coming off of that Saturday game, and the good news is it's always easier. I learned a long time ago in my career, early in my career, that it's a little bit easier to learn from wins than it is from losses. So, the good news is we came out with the W against Michigan State, and we're currently 4-1. Now we're switching gears over to Purdue, and we've been in game plan mode since basically since Sunday on Purdue, and they present some challenges different than Michigan State or any other team we face. But just like always, as I've learned through the years, you turn it on the tape and it's like, okay, he's a good player. He's a good player. They present these challenges. This is a good defense, and how are we gonna try to overcome those challenges? So here we are again, and looking forward to getting our 5th win. So with that, I'll open things up for any questions you guys may have.
All right, Coach. First question will be from Tyler Cashman.
Hey, Coach. How are you doing?
Doing great. How about you, Tyler?
I'm doing well. You mentioned that the meeting on Sunday after the Michigan State game. Just what all did that entail?
Oh, entailed honesty as always. I'm always honest. I don't believe in trying to be somebody that I'm not. I think anybody that's been around me, anybody that knows me, starting with my wife, she's known me the longest, obviously, and then going to my parents, and most importantly, the guys that I work with on a day-to-day basis, whether it be coaches, support staff, or players. I think they'll tell you that I'm gonna be honest with you. And sometimes honesty is not, it's not a polite thing to hear. Honestly, the truth will set you free and all that good stuff. So at that point, there were some times to have some honest conversations, not just about the game, but about how we were going about things, just making sure that we're staying on top of our task and always looking for the opportunity to improve, and that's hard. That's hard for anybody, but specifically when you're talking about young adults, when we're in week 5, and you're going through a Monday practice, and here we go, the same special teams meeting, it feels like, again, and the same position meeting, and time after time. It's easy when it's early in the season. It's easy when it's early in training camp, when it's fresh. But when you get in week 5 and week 6, and here we go again type mode, you have to reel the guys in and make them realize, like, you only get these opportunities so many times. We only get 12 guaranteed games. That's it. And that, when you look at other sports, when you look at basketball, baseball, whatever, they get many more opportunities. So to be a football player or a football coach, you have to be wired a little bit different. So it's always good to remind guys of that fact, right? That we only get these opportunities, and they're not coming back. So there's some hard conversations being had in that meeting, and just some honesty being revealed, and just letting the guys know where I see things and where we need to improve. And that's really what all it comes back to is improvement, right? Focusing back on those details. We focusing on the details, and then how can we improve? So that's really what it came down to on Sunday was, let's look at this tape. It wasn't all bad. It wasn't all bad, but obviously everybody wants to point out, the negatives, obviously the drops and all that stuff, which ain't good. We get paid to catch the ball, so let's do that. But there was some good tape on the tape too. So I addressed not only guys that were playing on Saturday, but the guys that didn't play, the guys that didn't even dress, or, some of the red shirt guys. This is how you can learn. So when you get in their position, all right, don't make the same mistakes, or you can improve on what they did good on Saturday. So a good, honest conversation. And I think once we walked out on Sunday, I know everybody, felt where I was standing. And then on Monday, here we go. We're switching gears, and it's on to the next opponent and see how we can try to challenge these guys and come out with the W.
All right, Coach, next question is from Tom Kaker.
Hey, Kelton. Wanted to ask you, wide receivers like to get the ball in their direction, right? They like to catch the ball, but hasn't happened as much as maybe they would have liked this season. How do you balance that with and yet keep those guys on task that they have a job to do on the football field as well?
Yeah, it's a tough job in any aspect. I don't care what position you're coaching. Every position has its challenge. And I've been blessed, going, I guess, my 21st season, I've been blessed to coach multiple positions, right? I've coached DBs, I've coached linebackers, quarterbacks for a short stint of time, obviously receivers and running backs. The majority of my career has been with receivers and running backs. So there's challenges at every position. That you hit it on the head, Tom, that, that's the challenge in coaching receivers. I mean, let's be honest. Every receiver in the world thinks they're open every play, right? And they think they should get the ball every play, even when they're triple covered. The guy come off the field and tell you, "Hey, coach, I was open. I should have got the ball." Then you watch the tape, and there's 3 defensive guys standing around like, "Nah, you weren't even close to being open." So that's just part of reality of being a receivers coach. So yes, that is a challenge in keeping these guys motivated. But I think I touched on this in preseason when we were face to face having these talks about, it's about the improvement. It's about focusing on the improvement of each player, focusing on the improvement of the group. And I think for the most part, we've done that. Sure, every now and then, that's my job, is to get them refocused on what's important. And it's just that improvement and the attention to detail. We don't control when or where we get the ball, right? We could game plan, and every week we have game plan plays where we think this guy's going to be targeted. And for whatever reason, the defense gives us a different look, or there's a change in the scenario, or change in the how the game's going, and we may not even call the play, or the play is called and something gets changed or adjusted where we thought that ball was for sure going. It doesn't happen. So I learned a long time ago not to, definitely don't promise guys targets or touches, and then just going in the each game with the mindset, I'm going to do whatever it takes to help our team win. And that ultimately, at the end of the day, that's all that matters. I've said it before, in the end, football is a team game. And in my personal opinion, football is the best team game in the world. All right. I've been doing it, like I said, 21 years as a career, done it for however many years before that as a player. And I still feel that way. Football is a team game, and it's all about the team wins. And last time I checked, we're 4-1, and we have an opportunity to compete for our 5th one on this coming Saturday. So we've done pretty good so far. We'll see how the chips fall, but at the end of the day, the receivers hate when I say it. I say it all the time in the room, but I tell them all the time, I can care less if we get targets or not. Really, all I care about is when we get our chance to compete, whether it be for a ball or on a block, on the backside of a run, I want to see my guys competing at the highest level. And then at the end of the day, when we walk off the field, win or lose, can we say we left it all out on the field? That's ultimately what I care about.
All right, Coach, next question is from John Steppe.
Good to see you. Caleb Brown, no receptions yet through 5 games. I'm sure that's something that he would like to see probably improve. How is he handling that, and what do you see as the key to getting him more involved offensively?
Absolutely. That's a great question. So, I kind of alluded to this as well in preseason. There was a lot of hype and buzz around Caleb and some other guys, through the transfer portal, which I get it. That's part of our atmosphere now of college football. But I alluded to the fact that, it's really hard for any young man. I don't care if it's Caleb, receiver, running back, whatever position it may be. It's really hard for a young man to expect a young man to come in to a program. And I'm not trying to put Iowa on a pedestal. I would imagine any 4-year institution, but Iowa's the only one I've worked at since the transfer portal has come about. So that's the only one I can speak of. So I know for a fact that it's really difficult to expect a young man to come in with zero experience about how we do things, why we do things, the system, the program, the expectations, the standards, not only for him to get all of that down, but then, oh yeah, we want you to catch the ball 20, 30 times throughout the season. So each young man has a different process, whether it be through recruiting, whether it be through the portal, or his actual playing experience and his playing career. So, obviously early on we haven't seen much of Caleb, but I wouldn't write him off just yet. It's just getting things in line as far as him understanding what the expectations are, what the standards are, and then yes, obviously he has to learn the playbook and know when and where and why and all that stuff. But it's an ongoing process. So, and this is a long season. Like I said, we're on what would this be, game 6 now? So, we're entering halfway through, midway through the regular season, and as we know, and as we're hoping and expecting, we're hoping to play past 12 games. So we still got a long way to go. So it's an ongoing process. It's just as much my job as it is the rest of the coaching staff. His job as an individual player and his teammates to help him along and help him understand all those things that I just listed.
All right, Coach. Next question is from Scott Docterman.
Yeah, Cope, I had a question about game planning and tendencies. How involved are you in formulating the game plan with Brian? And then how instrumental are trying to figure out tendencies to help your and how you're involved in it, and then also applying those learning opportunities to your players?
Absolutely, Scott. I think I read Coach's press conference yesterday. I read the text on it, and I don't know if you were the one to ask something about that or not, as far as tendencies. But I got kind of a heads up on that question. I didn't know I was going to be getting asked that question, but I did see that in the manuscript from his press conference. First, to answer the first part of your question, we're all involved as a staff, whether it be obviously Brian's the coordinator. Coach Ferentz, he's pretty much involved in every offensive meeting that we have, whether it be game planning, watching film, or whatever. The rest of the full-time guys, and then the GAs and support staff, they're in there as well for most of the game planning. So we all have a hand in it. There's certain facets of it that, to be honest with you, that I don't have as much input. Being a receivers coach, for example, I don't have a lot of input in the run game. Now, if I see something, whether it be from past experience or something that I think is, something that needs to be brought to the attention, or a play or a concept that I think that would be beneficial to us, helping us win a football game, then I'll speak up on that. But for the most part, I usually leave that to like the O-line guys, Abdul, Coach Betts, and all those kind of guys for the run game. As far as the pass game goes, and I'm heavily involved, obviously, that's part of my job. That's a little part of my job title, along with Brian, along with Abdul again, because he's coaching the tight ends, obviously, and John Budmeyer. We're in there together. Going through, whether it be Sunday, whether we're first looking at the tape for the next opponent, getting an idea of just, who their personnel is, how do they use them, what's their structure. And then as the week goes, just going through situationals, whether it be red zone, third down, off schedule, all that type of stuff, just going step by step. So to answer your question, we're going through all of that stuff together. Ultimately, obviously, I'm being Captain Obvious right now. Brian has the final say-so on what plays make the call list and all that kind of stuff, but we all have input in it. Then the other side of what your question was about tendencies, right? We're always looking at it. That's what you call self-scout. So we're looking, obviously, half of our job is looking at the opponent. Okay, how can we try to expose certain things they do or don't do well? And then the other side of it is looking at, okay, what have we done that we put on film maybe multiple times or throughout the season, or maybe throughout a singular game, and being like, okay, we either need to expound on that and keep building on that, or we've used that too many times, we need to change it, or it could be a case of, all right, this is not working the way we're doing it. We need to get it off altogether, or we need to adjust or change some things. So to answer your question in a very long answer, I apologize. We're all involved in all of that, whether it be the game plan, the tendencies, the structure of practice. Those are daily conversations that we're all having and trying to be on the same page. And that way we can relay that information on to our players. And the ultimate goal is getting our guys to go out and practice how we want them to practice with the expectations that we have for them, so that when we get to Saturday game day, they can go out and execute at a high level.
All right, Coach. Next question is from Cooper Worth.
Hey, Coach. Hope you're doing well. Eric Hall had a big game last week, and especially in the red zone, big touchdown. I was just wondering your thoughts on him in the passing game, just given his athleticism and how he can be used in different roles, and given how Iowa's tight ends are asked to have a big impact in the run game.
Yeah, Eric's a guy, man, and I'm just telling you, I appreciate the question, Cooper. Eric's very impressive in a lot of ways. Like this guy, what you see on Saturday, that's just a small window into how this guy operates on a day-to-day basis. This guy practices harder than most guys I've seen throughout my whole career. Thinking of that position alone, probably the next closest guy, I wouldn't say the next closest guy, but the guy similar to him that practiced just as hard, if not harder, as Eric will be Sam Laporta. And we all know, how his career panned out here at Iowa. So I'm not trying to say he's going to be the next Sam or anything like that, but just talking from a practice preparation standpoint, what I see from my small window on the football field, Eric he's the real deal. I mean, this guy comes, he approaches things the right way. His athleticism, his size obviously causes issues for anybody trying to defend him. It was unfortunate that we saw Luke get injured a couple weeks ago, but that room is strong. Abdul's done a great job building that room up. There's other guys, outside of Eric that definitely can pick up the slack. Guys like Steve Stylianos, Addison Ostringa, other guys that we haven't even seen or maybe even not even heard of yet. That Abdul's doing a good job of building those guys up. So you're exactly right. Eric's doing a tremendous job, and we work together as well. There's certain things where we have him out wide. I'm sure you guys pay attention. Have him split out sometimes in a receiver type position. So we work together as well, just working on some fundamental things. Actually, just yesterday, it's funny you asked that. We post practice, we do some drills post practice on Tuesdays, and Eric, I look up and Eric's in the drill, which is it's nothing new. He's done it before. There's been actually other positions that get in our post practice drills as well. And at the end of that drill session, we break it down, and we call ourselves the out wides. And Eric stayed for the breakdown, and he jokingly said after, he was like, shoot, as much as I'm out wide, I can be an out wide too. I was like, absolutely. The way we use you and the way you play, you could be in a lot of different rooms. So Eric's a very multiple skilled asset, and he's a great young man. The more I get to know him, the more I like him.
Next question is from John Steppe.
What have you seen from a leadership standpoint from your two guys from Connecticut with Nico and Vines? And what is it about wide receivers in Connecticut that seems to work out well for you?
The Connecticut connection is what I call them. They do a tremendous job of, obviously, number one, they've been in the program the longest in my room. Nico being what I call a super senior, we make jokes of him all the time that, him and I are the same age, and, back in the 80s when you first got here, that kind of stuff, just giving him a hard time. But he takes it well. They do a good job because, number one, they understand me. They understand how I operate. They understand the expectations I have, in the meeting room, around the building, around the community, on the football field. So it just makes it easier when you have that veteran presence in the room, that they can let the young guys know, hey, I'm just telling you right now, Coach's not going to like that. He's not going to appreciate that. You might want to change, what you're doing or how you're doing it. So from that standpoint, they have the respect of everybody else in the room. And then just how they go about their business, like I was talking about at the beginning of the press conference, that improvement-driven, detail-oriented mindset, they understand that. Anytime I look up when I'm talking or, going through the tape, Nico has a pencil in his hand, Vines has a pen in his hand, they're taking notes. That's just something that's an expectation in our room. It's not a rule by any means, but it's an expectation. So when they're doing that, it makes it a little bit easier on myself, where I don't have to tell the first year guy, whoever it may be, hey, you need to start writing notes. If their peers are doing it, if their veteran leaders are doing it, makes it a little bit easier. So, and then another big thing that I almost forgot about, to be honest with you, was being in the hotel, whether it be road games or home games, having that veteran presence, because I didn't realize until we got ready for Iowa State, our first road game, I didn't realize that besides Nico and Deontay, nobody else had traveled that was on the travel roster in my room. So I was like, wow, this is taking me back some years since I've had that kind of scenario. So just leaning on those guys, to just let them, simple stuff like, hey, you need to make sure you're 5 minutes early to the bus, right? Don't wait till the departure time that it says on your schedule. Get there 5 minutes early. Hey, when we get to this meeting, you want to make sure you have something to write with. All those type, make sure you're rehydrating in the whole, all those type things that as a coach, you may or may not be thinking about, because you're thinking about coach things. Those veteran players, they can give a heads up and kind of conduct the room outside of the room, if that makes sense. When I'm not around, or when we're in a situation like that, we're in a hotel or in a travel situation.
All right, Coach, we'll have two more questions. First one is from Scott Docterman.
Yeah, I wanted to ask a little bit about 11 personnel. the numbers are down this year, even from last year towards later in the season. And I just wanted to know, do you feel like you have the players to play with that kind of grouping on a more consistent basis, the way you did a few years ago? And if not, why?
Oh, I definitely think so. But more importantly than what I think, it's about what we see. And it's about us as a staff, what we see, getting ready for the opponent, whether it be Purdue, Michigan State, or whoever. It's about, okay, what personnel do we think is going to give them either the most issues on their defense or give us the best chance to be successful. So, if it were me, me being a receivers guy, I'm going to say, hey, we can be in 10 personnel. Right. But we know that's not how we operate here at Iowa. So that it doesn't matter what I think. It's a matter of, what's going to help us be the most successful and what are we going to execute and what Brian's most comfortable calling. So all of those factors play into it. And sure, I like questioned earlier about, do I have input on the game plan? Sure, I have input on personnel. I think this individual here, I think Nico can do this, or Eric may be able to do this better. So that in itself may dictate, okay, we need to be in 11 personnel versus 12 personnel, or variation of either one, if that makes sense. So it's an ongoing process, ongoing conversations, and it's a long season. So, whether it be, I don't know, you would know better than me, whatever personnel is leading right now, it's a long season. All right. Things change all the time. And there were a few years ago where, 11 personnel was really high on the list. And then all of a sudden, 12 personnel start creeping up. And then, it's been some few years now. I had to go back and watch some tape, but even 10 personnel crept in there too. So all of those scenarios are on the table and possible. But ultimately, like I say, it's about Iowa football getting the dub. That's all we really care about. And that's all that's important. So we're going to put the product on the field to get that done.
All right, Coach, the last question will be from Tom Kickert.
Kelton, I want to ask you about the freshman. Bowie's got out there a little bit. Dayton Howard hasn't. I know you guys were really high on him during camp, and also Alex Moto. What have you seen from those three?
Well, so Jarrett, like you said, you've seen him on the game field a few times. It's always it's a dicey kind of tough scenario when you're dealing with freshmen and trying to reserve that preserve that red shirt or not. And it's always a communication and conversation that we're having on staff. Number one, are they ready? Do we think they're ready to take that step to be on the travel roster, as what Coach calls being in the Army, so to speak? And coming out of training camp, I felt like Jarrett was the one, out of those three names that you just mentioned, I feel like Jarrett was the one that was most ready and prepared to be able to handle being on the travel roster and then possibly playing in some games. So, I know for sure Michigan State, we didn't see him at all. In the 2 games before that, he got minimal reps. And again, it's that tough conversation about, are we going to use his red shirt for, a minimum amount of plays per game, right? So if he's playing 5-6 plays per game, is it worth it? Sometimes it may be, like if it's in critical situations, or if he's the best at doing the job in that particular play or assignment or personnel, then yes, you have your answer. Then absolutely it's worth it. It's all about, what's best for Iowa football. But in the same breath, you also want to be smart about how you're using them and preserving his eligibility clock as well. So it's an ongoing process. Last week, like I said, the plan was not to play him, and he did not play. That's going to be a week-to-week conversation. This week, it's totally open, and we'll see how things go. As far as the other two, Dayton and Alex, right now they're working on scout team, and they're doing a phenomenal job. Not a good job, a phenomenal job. And I always peek over. I tell the guys all the time, we're doing practice. Our fields are right next to each other, defense and offensive fields. So in between our plays, sometimes I peek over, and I'll just happen to see Alex Motor, for example, jumping up, making a great catch, what they call mossing somebody or something like that, or Dayton doing the same thing, run after catch, or, I see Alex Motor, they use him on flies, simulating what the other offense is doing. So it's good to see those guys getting those quality reps, whether it be on the travel team, on the scout team. What's most important is the development of each young man, right? And right now we feel like those two individuals, being Dayton and Alex, the best thing we can do for their development is them working on scout team. And that being the case for Jarrett, the best part for his development is working with us on travel team. So that's how we're going about it right now.
All right, perfect. Appreciate your time this morning, Coach.